Look, I am just going to say it straight to you. You have spent over 30 years working hard for your family. But do you ever fear that your financial preparation might actually become a burden for your children? There are 3 specific moments in your wealth journey where everything you have learned starts to change. Most people completely miss these tipping points. They keep doing the same things that built their wealth in the first place. But the reality is, those habits stop working after a certain point. Today, we are breaking down the exact moments where saving more money actually becomes the wrong move. If you have over $100,000 invested, you are likely already at the first one. Think about your relationship with money for a second. For decades, you have been the engine driving the train. You worked the long hours. You made the sacrifices. But there comes a day when the train starts moving faster than you can push it. This is the transition from labor to capital. It is the moment when your money begins to take over the heavy lifting. If you do not recognize this shift, you might spend your best years grinding for pennies while ignoring dollars. Let us start with tipping point number 9, the math crossover. There is a wild reality that nobody prepares you for in your 50s. There comes a point where your money starts making more money than you do at your job. When this happens, your entire perspective on work should change. Imagine you are putting aside $10,000 a year into your accounts. You feel good because you are being responsible and following the rules. But behind the scenes, something much bigger is happening. The crossover point is when your investment returns exceed your annual contributions. Let us look at some real numbers from the Federal Reserve. Say you have $100,000 invested in a basic index fund. At a 10% annual return, your portfolio generates $10,000 on its own. Now compare that to your $8,000 annual contribution. Your money is officially out-earning your effort. You are still in control, but the balance is shifting. Now imagine when you hit $500,000. That same 10% growth adds $50,000 to your net worth in a single year. Your contribution is now just a small fraction of the total growth. You could take a year off or work part-time, and your wealth would still grow. By the time you reach $1 million, your portfolio generates around $100,000 per year. At this stage, your monthly savings become almost irrelevant to the big picture. It is like adding a cup of water to a river that is already rushing. This is where the psychological shift becomes difficult for many people. For 40 years, the formula was simple: work hard, save money, and watch the number go up. But now the formula has changed. You are no longer the main driver of your wealth. The market and compound growth have taken the wheel. For some, this lack of control can feel very uncomfortable. They feel they must keep working harder to feel secure. But the numbers show that your money is now working harder than you ever could. This leads us directly into tipping point number high, the identity trap. Frugality is the very tool that built your fortress. But if you are not careful, that tool can become your prison. Behavioral finance shows that our habits often become our identity. You are not just someone who saves money, you have become a saver at your core. This shift changes how you make every single decision in your life. I want you to think about a couple with $5 million in the bank. They dreamed of retiring and spending $200,000 a year. They have more than enough to fund that dream for the rest of their lives. But because they lived on $70,000 for 40 years, they cannot stop. They still skip vacations to save a few $100s. They drive 15-year-old cars that need constant repairs. They are sitting on a mountain of gold, but they live like they are struggling. It is not because they have to, but because spending money feels wrong to them. After decades of saying no to everything, they have lost the ability to say yes. Their portfolio keeps growing by hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. Yet they are still clipping coupons for a $3 discount. Research from Stanford shows that these patterns are incredibly hard to break. Your brain gives you a hit of dopamine every time you save $1. Over time, your brain is wired to value the saving more than the experience. You are running on an autopilot that no longer serves your current reality. I have seen people with millions who will drive 20 minutes out of their way to save 5 cents on gas. They spend hours researching a purchase to save $20. They wear the same clothes for a decade, while their bank account overflows. And if you ask them why, they say they are just being responsible. But what they are really saying is that they do not know how to be any other way. The discipline that made you wealthy is now preventing you from being free. You spent 40 years delaying gratification for a future that has finally arrived. But now that you are at the finish line, you cannot turn off the delay. The reward you promised yourself never actually comes. This does not just affect your bank account. It affects your relationships with your spouse and your grandchildren. It affects your health and your overall satisfaction with life. You achieved financial independence, but you missed the freedom that was supposed to come with it. Now, let us look at tipping point number BA, the $100,000 versus $100,000 problem. This one is sneaky, and it is likely costing you the most right now. When your portfolio reaches a certain size, your time becomes your most valuable asset. Spending 3 hours to save $50 is a massive mistake at this stage. I see people with $2 million portfolios who still manage their own taxes without help. They spend days trying to find the cheapest flights for a family trip. But meanwhile, their portfolio has not been rebalanced in years. They are paying 1% in hidden fees because they never bothered to check. They have no tax loss harvesting strategy and no estate plan. These are the areas where the real money is lost. Vanguard research shows that good financial planning can add 3% to your returns. On a $1 million portfolio, that is $30,000 every single year. That is life-changing money for your family and your legacy. But instead of spending time on optimization, people focus on small, visible wins. Your brain loves the immediate feedback of a grocery coupon. You can see the savings right there in your hand. But the $20,000 you lose to poor tax strategy is invisible. You cannot see it, so your brain does not react to it. The invisible losses pile up year after year after year. Over 20 years, the difference between an optimized portfolio and one on autopilot is massive. We are talking about a difference of over $1 million in total wealth. Ask yourself, which sounds smarter to you? Spending 10 years hunting for deals to save $10,000, or spending 10 hours optimizing your strategy to gain $300,000. This is the moment where your energy must shift. You must stop asking how you can save more. You must start asking how you can make what you already have work harder. That is the true shift into wealth mastery. So, where do you stand right now in this journey? Are you still hustling to add money when your returns are already much larger? Are you stuck in the identity trap, unable to enjoy what you have built? Or are you chasing small wins while ignoring the massive leaks in your plan? It is important to remember that your contributions are still valuable. But at some point, the impact of each additional dollar becomes smaller. That is when saving stops making sense the way it used to. Your energy is worth more somewhere else now. It belongs with your family, your hobbies, and your health. You have built the fortress. Now it is time to live inside it. The numbers do not lie, and the math is on your side. But the psychology is the part you must master. Do not let the habits of your past steal the joy of your future. You have earned the right to breathe and to think bigger. Focus on the strategies that move the needle by thousands, not cents. Review your asset allocation this week. Look at your tax strategy and your legacy plan. Make sure your money is protected from lamb fat and unnecessary fees. And most importantly, give yourself permission to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The finish line is not about having the most money when you die. It is about having the most life while you are here. If this message resonated with you, please consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. There is a lot of noise out there about making money, but there is very little talk about how to actually live with it. Stay consistent and stay disciplined, but also stay free. Your journey is unique, and you have come so far already. Take a moment today to appreciate the security you have created. Then, start looking at the big picture. The best years of your life should not be spent worrying about the small stuff. They should be spent on what truly matters. Thank you for your time and for your trust today. Keep moving forward with confidence.